this episode did not disappoint. I don't know what's funnier, this show or you brain-dead Mandalorian fanboys. This is out of curiosity. How far did you get in this episode before you realized or figured out that the Mandalorian was going to, steal Baby Yoda back? Trick question. You should have figured this out when you first saw the Baby Yoda in episode 1. This was so goddamn obvious. What's funnier is that there were some people that made videos and articles calling the Mandalorian stealing the Baby Yoda back a plot twist. Why would you make a video revealing how goddamn stupid you are when that you didn't see the Mandalorian stealing Baby Yoda from all the way back to episode 1? Like, how is this a plot twist to you? Jesus Christ! Oh, I love this show, and I love the fan base around this show. It's glorious. You're all hilarious. So then he goes to the client, and he asks the client, "How many fobs did you give out?" Wait a minute. So the client gave out we end up finding out later on that the client gave fobs to all the bounty hunters. All of them. But where the hell were they? The only 2 bounty hunters that went after Baby Yoda and for a prize of this Beskar steel, which just 2 bars made. Oh shoot, what's the name of the guy that runs the guild? Him having 2 bars and he goes, "I'm rich." All that, and only the bounty droid and those 2 other guys, those were the only ones that went after this bounty. Nobody else could have done it except what? The Mandalorian and the bounty droid? Like, I now understand. This show establishes, or this episode establishes, why the Mandalorian is the best bounty hunter in the parsec. Because every other bounty hunter sucks rocks. They are useless. So now, then it's established that the client is the only one looking for Baby Yoda. But they want the Baby Yoda alive. They understand that if it dies, that's a possibility. But they want it alive. So if the only bounty hunters, if the only person hiring the bounty hunters is the client, then why was the bounty droid told he had to kill the asset? Like, I thought they wanted the Baby Yoda alive, yet you wanted to have the bounty droid kill it? Do you understand how this show has no goddamn clue what it's doing? It's literally not only that, it changed the rules of the entire bounty, because you're thinking, because the first episode is making it that you think, because it's a bait and switch, it's making you think that the fee is specifically for the Mandalorian, okay? Because only the Mandalorian is skilled enough and willing enough to be able to do this, okay? But apparently, it's a free-for-all, except nobody else decides to go after the Baby Yoda. Gee, what a shock, huh? Every bounty hunter in the guild has a fob to the Baby Yoda, but only 2 groups go after it. Pathetic. It's pathetic. So now, we've established that they all have fobs. They all got hired. So the Beskar steel wasn't just for the Mandalorian. It was an overall price for everybody. But the Mandalorian steel, or Beskar steel, is one of the rarest metals in the universe. Why wouldn't he have just gone, the bounty is 100,000 credits, 200,000 credits? The show purposely tried to make you think that it was only the Mandalorian and that the Beskar steel was specifically for the Mandalorian to want to take the job. So, why was that? Do you understand the bait and switch on this? You see, the show purposely had to establish that it was a free-for-all after the Mandalorian dropped off the Baby Yoda to the client. Okay? So that way, in episode 2, when hardly anything happened, it made sense to you. There was no reason to question it. But if the audience knew that it was a free-for-all from episode 1, which it had no reason not to establish, okay? If the audience knew that it was a free-for-all from episode 1, during episode 2, the audience would have gone, well, where are all the other bounty hunters coming after Baby Yoda? But because you didn't know that it was a free-for-all, you weren't expecting anything. But then after the Baby Yoda was delivered, now that it was informed that it was a free-for-all, it's too late now to bitch about how stupid and irrelevant episode 2 was. Because if it was a free-for-all, if it was established as a free-for-all from episode 1, it would have been a totally different storyline. Episode 2 would have been absolutely different, and it probably would have been interesting. Okay? And it would have actually had, action and interest and story. Instead of him going after a mudhorn for a goddamn egg and fighting Jawas. It was so pathetic. So, this is a small thing. So, he goes back to the covert. I honestly can't remember what that little area that the Mandalorians are hiding in is called. But, and again, this is a little thing, but apparently he's never allowed to take off the helmet, and no one else is supposed to take off his helmet. So I'm just curious, how does he eat? How does he eat? Like, is he supposed to sleep with his helmet on? Is he never allowed to take his helmet off and repair it and clean it? I'm just curious. The show is making a big deal about the fact that he's never supposed to be able to take off his helmet. I'm just wondering how that's supposed to work. Yeah, that's all. Just curious. Obviously, there's no answer because it's never going to come up and none of you guys care. So, unfortunately, I actually, pay attention to things. So then she asks, so then he goes, my armor's been damaged. Now, remember, this is Beskar steel. One of the toughest metals in the known universe. And it got damaged by a mudhorn. He admits that his armor got trashed by an animal. Armor that can withstand a lightsaber apparently cannot withstand the attack of a mudhorn. This is pathetic. I don't know how else to explain this. Like, how tough is this armor if a mudhorn can ruin it? And then he goes, so then it's about she wants to go, I'll make the mudhorn your signet. But then he goes, no, I didn't, it wasn't an honorable kill, so no, he doesn't get a signet. So, well, wait a minute. What does it take to earn how does one gain a signet? Because he killed a mudhorn? the Mudhorn is now his signet? What if he had killed a Jawa? Would the Jawa have become his... Like, how does this show establish how a Mandalorian earns his signet? If he had killed a Blurg, would the Blurg have become his signet? Like, this show has no idea what it's doing. It's pulling its bullshit out of its ass and hoping none of you will notice. And apparently, it's working for the rest of you anyway. Like, hold on. Yeah, like if he had killed the Mudhorn, or the Blurg, would that have been his signet? But no, it was because the Mudhorn was the one that damaged his armor. So that's why the Mudhorn was supposed to be a signet. Like, this show doesn't know what it's doing. I'm sorry. I hate to break it to you fanboys. So then she ends up forging whistling birds. Gee, I wonder if the whistling birds are going to somehow be, relevant later on in the episode. But then again, what do you know? Some of you didn't even figure out that the Mandalorian was going to steal the Baby Yoda back. So, of course, when the whistling birds were used later on, it was like, oh my God, what a coincidence. Jesus Christ. Then we have more armor fabrication, and of course we have more flashbacks, because, he only has flashbacks when armor's being made. So, then of course, he goes to save or steal the Baby Yoda. Gee, what a twist, shocking surprise that I swear some of you probably never even saw coming. Jesus Christ. Out of curiosity, why? Why is he going to save the Baby Yoda? Please tell me that your justification is because he was a foundling and that's why. That's it. You literally have to come up with this pathetic, lame, bare bones excuse of a justification for him to give up. He's no longer a bounty hunter. The guild's no longer going to hire him. He's just eliminated his main source of income. Okay? For what? For what? Because he looked into those he looked into those big anime eyes and went, oh, I now have to save a creature I have no goddamn association with, no connection with, but because he's so goddamn cute and because the show needs... You want an excuse? You want justification on why the Mandalorian rescued and stole the Baby Yoda? Here's the reason. The show needed him to. Okay? The show needed him to and used the pathetic attempt of he was a foundling as a pathetic excuse to justify it. The only reason the Mandalorian rescued and stole Baby Yoda was because the show needed him to. Now, if you admit that, then fine. But none of you are, because you have to admit that this show is pathetic and is a hack job and is not as good as you naive morons think it is. So then he goes back and he spies on the client. And wouldn't you know it, okay, his rifle has a built-in microphone that can see and hear through walls. Of course it does. Why wouldn't it? And it has static too, so you never get to find out, who actually ordered the hit. Darn! That. Too bad he couldn't get, a better weapon a better, microphone on his rifle, so that it would work, normally. But darn, didn't see that coming. And then then we hear the client go, extract the necessary material from the asset. What? It's a baby. It's a living creature. What are you going to extract? The midichlorian count from his body? Like, seriously, what are you expecting to extract? And I guarantee they're never going to explain it. And you want to know how I know they're not going to explain it? I'm going to get to that because that happens later on in the episode. So then he goes to rescue the Baby Yoda, and luckily the stormtroopers show up one or two at a time so that he can easily take them out. And then he opens the door to the scientist's room, and there's a stormtrooper already there, and the stormtrooper fires and hits the Mandalorian. Guess where? On the pauldron. Just right in front of him, dead center shot, and that's the only shot. And throughout the entire firefights that happen throughout this episode, he only ever gets hit once, and he gets hit on the pauldron. I swear to God, I don't know if this is intentional, but is this going to be like a running gag with the Mandalorian, that he only ever gets shot in the pauldron? So then the Mandalorian asks the scientists, "What did you do to it?" And what's the response from the scientist? I kept it alive. No. That's not what we give a shit about. What were you extracting from it? Why didn't the Mandalorian go, what were you extracting from it? Who's the guy that this is supposed to go to? Who's the guy that hired you? No. He's not going to ask the most obvious questions that would actually answer things. No. He's going to ask, what did you do with it? I kept it alive. And then that's it. Just takes Baby Yoda and go. How blatant can this show be? All he had to do was go, what were you extracting? It's an obvious question. Who was the one that hired you? It's an obvious question, but you can't answer that, because then where's the mystery box? Where's the mystery? Where's the thing to follow? So then, as he's leaving, a stormtrooper sneaks up behind him, is about 10, 15 feet away, has a clear open shot, and still misses the Mandalorian. Doesn't even hit him. Misses. So then, and then before he leaves, he's surrounded by 4 stormtroopers, right? And damn, it's a good thing he got those, whistling birds installed, right? Now, because this show doesn't give a rat's ass of explaining how anything works, because it doesn't explain how the fob works, there's a shitload. It doesn't explain or care to explain how anything works. So then the Mandalorian puts the Baby Yoda down. All the Mandalorian does is flex his wrist. That's all he does. No programming, no nothing. So how did the Gauntlet or whatever know to fire only 4 rockets? How did the Gauntlet know what the targets were? No goddamn clue. No and you didn't care. You didn't care. All you saw it fire 4 rockets, hit the 4 stormtroopers. Good enough for you. How does it work? How did he program it? How did he make it do what it did? Not necessary. Maybe he used the Force. Maybe he used the Force to be able to control how the whistling birds worked, because it's not like there's any other reason. So then he leaves, and all the other bounty hunters' fobs light up. Why? Why would they light up? Is the Baby Yoda still have a tracker on it? But why would the client have the Baby Yoda back and still keep the tracker on the Baby Yoda? He wouldn't. It doesn't make any sense. Not only that, why do the bounty hunters still have their fobs? The job's done. The Mandalorian got paid. It's over. It's done. What? All the bounty hunters decided to keep the fob as what? a souvenir, a memento. They should have all gotten rid of it. It's useless to them now because the Baby Yoda was delivered, the Mandalorian got paid, the fob is irrelevant to them. No, they kept them anyway. Why? Because we needed the scene that happens later on. So then we have the shootout. And here's how we learn how the Mandalorian is the best bounty hunter in the parsec. Because every other bounty hunter in this place sucks. They can't hit him. They can't hit him. There's like over a dozen of them. They never hit him once. And then two bounty hunters sneak up behind the Mandalorian, okay? And they wait until they're close enough so that the Mandalorian can kick a barrel and knock one of the bounty hunters into the other bounty hunter, and they both collapse. Just these are bounty hunters. Like everybody makes fun of the stormtroopers and how they're useless. These are the guys that couldn't make it as stormtroopers. That's what the bounty hunters are, because they're useless at this job. Then, to further show how useless this show is, as well as the bounty hunter, you have the bounty hunters firing a barrage. Firing at a barrage at the speeder that the Mandalorian is hiding behind. Now, the Mandalorian isn't even firing back. He's hunched over the Baby Yoda for like almost a minute. And they're still shooting, and they can't even hit the speeder. They're just firing, and you can just hear the sound effects of the blaster rifles in the background. He's not even firing back. It's a stationary target, and like over a dozen bounty hunters can't hit the goddamn speeder. Then the other Mandalorians show up. Why? How? How did the other Mandalorians know that Mando was in trouble? I thought you were supposed to be secret. I thought you were supposed to say. I thought the Mandalorians were supposed to stay secret because staying secret is their strength. But not unless the story doesn't want them to, and then they just suddenly show up en masse. Not like one or two to go help, but like a dozen Mandalorians totally breaking any cover because they're flying around. They're flying around with their jetpacks. One of them's got a Gatling gun. The idea of secrecy has been eliminated. They're not even trying to be secretive and sneaky and avoid their presence being known. Nah, we'll just be in the middle of the area and just firing at everything. Like, you end up seeing the Mandalorian leave, and you just see this giant firefight. But hey, you saw the Mandalorians fighting. You saw a really cool fight scene. So why actually care how that scene made no sense and totally illegitimized the entire point of what the what's they're saying? This is the way. Apparently it's not the way as much as everybody thought it was. Then it's now established that they have to relocate the covert. And they're fine with it. The Mandalorian, okay, has now caused it so that the covert has to relocate. That the Mandalorians, who are supposed to be harder to find than Beskar Steel, have now revealed their presence to a town or city or whatever full of bounty hunters. Like, they revealed themselves. Their secret's gone. They gotta relocate. Does Mando get in trouble for it? No, this is the way. This is the way. And he gets to like, he doesn't even get in trouble for screwing over the covert, for screwing over all the other Mandalorians. Because he's allowed to. It's okay when he does it, apparently. And then the Mandalorian's flying away on his ship. And this was so pathetic. But it was like, what, a fan service thing? You see, as far as I'm concerned, it was War Machine flying beside the ship and salutes the Mandalorian. Why would he salute? No, seriously. Why would the Mandalorian on the jetpack salute? Oh, God, I gotta get one of those. Oh, man. I love this show. I really do. I love this show. This is a show that gives beyond, because not only do I get to watch the show and laugh, I get to watch people reviewing this show and laugh at how goddamn stupid they are for loving this show. Oh, God. Disney Plus, this has got to be your... I don't know how you're going to top this. I am so looking forward to the next episode to see where this stupid goes. Anyway, I'm out of here. See ya.